Hi guys, welcome to my next video. Today we are going to do the simplest workout ever. So it's going to basically hit all muscles of the body, but it's going to be just super simple. So if you're just starting out strength training, or if you're very experienced and just need to kind of go through the motions today is just meant to build strength, total body strength with a set of weights. I will be using this bench here, but you could also use what you have available, or you can even just use the floor. I'll try to show options for everything. So again, my name is Coach Becca. We're just going to start with some really simple stretches to begin, and then we'll go into a 15-minute, 20-minute total body workout. So effort level today is moderate. If you do have a set of heavier weights at home available to you, you could make it challenging. But I would suggest just having a set of weights on hand that you would describe as moderate, where your perceived effort's like a 5 to an 8 out of 10, where you're never really going maximum. So my weights are between 10 and 12 pounds. That's probably appropriate for a lot of people. Unless you're just starting out, then maybe 3 to 5 to 8 pounds is more appropriate, especially for the overhead stuff. So I guess in a nutshell, if you have a set of light to moderate weights on hand, that's always a good thing too. So let's just start out with a really simple, like I said, today's all about simple and just functional. It's gonna check the box today. We're just gonna spread our feet out just a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. And this is one of my favorite stretches. It's called the good, better, best stretch. And it's also great for teaching young kids English, so proper English. So when I worked with like kindergarten swimmers, this is like a fun stretch to do. So we're gonna do a good stretch, into a better stretch, into a best stretch. And we're gonna do that 5 times. So just stack one hand over the other, it doesn't matter which one. Reach down for a good stretch, go into a better stretch, and then reach as far back as you can without straining into your best stretch, and then stand up. So let's do that 4 more times and tie in the breath. Inhale, good, exhale, better, exhale again, best, stand up. Good, better, best. 2 more. Inhale, good, exhale, better, exhale, best, stand up. 1 more. Good, better, best. Very good. And while we have our feet in this position, let's work on our spine. The stretch we just did was great for your hamstrings and your lower back. So keeping your feet in this position, you're going to reach one arm down and then the other arm up at the sky. Okay, so it looks like this. Inhale. If you need to bend one knee or the other knee too as we go about this, that's just fine. Reach up with one hand and then reach straight down with the other hand. You're going to stand up and then go to the other side. Reach straight up and the other hand straight down. Kind of like you're trying to stack your middle fingers on top of each other, and time that with your breath. The bigger the movement, the better. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Really try to pull those knuckles back. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Let's do 1 more on each side. Opening up the spine, stretching out the legs. Last one. Very good. We're going to do a simple knee pull next. This is a great stretch if you're a runner or you like to do dynamic stretches. Dynamic stretches means, like the last stretch we did, you move during the stretch instead of just holding in one spot. And both types of stretches are great, but we're going to do a dynamic stretch. I like to do those more in the warm-up. So you're going to grab one knee and you're going to pull up and then switch. Grab a knee, pull up. What can also be fun to do is to go into a little calf raise if you have the stability to do that. So you're going to go up onto one toe. From the side it looks like this. So let's do a few more of those. You don't have to do that calf raise if you lose your balance. This is great for the glutes. And if you go into that calf raise, it's great for your calves. It's also a nice little balance exercise. Let's do 2 more on each side. 1 more on each side. Great. And then really similar to that, we're going to do an ankle pull. So you're going to grab your ankle, reach the other hand overhead, and pull. And then you'll switch sides. If you can progress into that calf raise again. This stretches out your hips and your quads. I also like to do that opposite arm raise to get the lats going and to get that cross body kind of coordination going. Let's do a few more. Grab an ankle, reach up. And if you're really struggling to reach back and grab an ankle, this whole time you can just do this stretch. Let's do 2 more on each side. Don't force that ankle raise if it's not coming to you today. 1 more on each side. Last one. Awesome. And now it feels like we're about ready to get started. We're just going to do 1 more, just a short static stretch, and that's just for the lats. So I want you to come on down to the ground. Place your hands in front of you, and you can bring the knees out, or you can leave the knees in. We're just going to do what's called child's pose stretch. And you're just going to ground your forehead and take in a deep inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. 2 more. 1 more. Great job. All right, now that we're good and warmed up, let's begin our workout. So typically our goal is on my page, if you're new, welcome, but if you've done these workouts before, you'll know this. Our goal is to build muscular endurance for the most part, muscular strength. So our repetitions are usually in the 10 to 12 range, and we usually do 2 sets. So just kind of mentally prepare for that. What I like to do is stack a lower body exercise with an upper body exercise, so that way we can keep the rest time down, allowing the legs to work while the arms rest. That's called supersetting, and we're gonna do that today. Go ahead and grab your weights, or you can even do this first part body weight if you need to. We're gonna do an alternated step back lunge. I prefer step back lunges to forward lunges because lunges are a little stressful on the knee, but stepping back helps take some of that pressure off of the knee. So we're gonna do 10 total, that's only 5 per side lunges. So if you wanna go heavier on this, go heavy. If your legs are feeling taxed and you're new to working out, maybe just do this body weight. So 10 lunges, I'm gonna show you from the side in the first set, and then I'll show you from the front in round 2. So 10 lunges, you're gonna step back. Notice that my back heel stays elevated and my knee comes down to the ground and my posture is nice and upright. Here's 2, and we're just switching from right to left. Here's 3, here's 4, halfway at 5, and your RPE is moderate here, like a 5 to a 6 out of 10. That's 7, 8, 9, last one, 10. Now, bring the weights up to your shoulders, and we're gonna press overhead, directly overhead, 10 times. If you need to change your weight for that, change your weight now. Let's do 10 reps. Exhale as you press, inhale, lower down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Let's do each of those one more time. Starting with the lunges, alternating step back lunges, and we're gonna do 10, 9, 8. Try to keep that front heel fully on the ground. You want the back heel to elevate. Halfway with 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great. Back to those shoulder presses. Note that my wrists are facing each other on this variation. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great job. Next, you're going to use the bench, or you could even just use a regular dining room table chair or your couch. And the reason we need this is to elevate our feet. We're going to do a feet elevated glute bridge. You want your feet shoulder width apart, your heels on a bench, and just make sure that when you press your weight into that bench, that it's not going to tip over, okay? Red, why don't you come over here so everyone can see the glute bridge? Come on, buddy. Right there. Come on. Good job, buddy. Toes up. Okay. Well, I guess people can get the idea. You'll lose interest eventually. Up for 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't let you know how many of these we're doing. We're going to do 15. They're a little easier than the lunge. They're great for your butt, your core, and they work the opposite muscles essentially of the lunge we just did. So that's another thing I like to do. Work the back side of the body equal to the front side of the body. Let's do 5 more. Sorry about Red, but he's part of the fam. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great job. 15 of those. Now, if you don't have a bench like what I'm about to use, stay on the floor for this next exercise and grab your weights. You're going to do a floor chest press. Meanwhile, I'm going to do a bench chest press. And the difference is on the bench, you can get a little bit lower. Now I'm going to do 15 chest presses. So you want your rate to be moderate. However, if you're going from the floor, again, you're not going to get quite the range of motion as a bench, so you can afford to go a little heavier. So we're just going to do 15 dumbbell chest presses. Exhale as you push up, inhale as you come down. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got 5 to go. And again, this should feel moderate. 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Carefully lower down. Bring yourself up. And we're going to go right back to that glute bridge. I'll turn this. You don't have to turn your setup at home, but I'm just trying to get optimal viewing for you here, even if Red wants to get in the way. What can we say? He's the real superstar of the show. And if you've got dogs at home, you know. All right, we're going to do 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Really try to drive those hips up. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Again, you can stay here. Just lower the legs down, grab your weights, or if you're going to be using the bench like me, go ahead and come on up, grab your weights, back to that chest press to 15. Last set of these. Okay, watch your head, Brett. Watch your head. 1, 2, 3, 4, chaining the chest and biceps. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Nice job. All right. Buddy. For our next set, we're going to be doing a squat. And there's a lot of hype around squats in the strength world, but I don't want you to overthink it. Depending on your flexibility and ability level and experience level, you might do a body weight squat where you're just going to sit back and focus on putting your weight in your heels. You could also choose to use weight, 1 weight or 2. With 1 weight, you want to hold it just by the top and sit back. By holding the weight in front of you, it'll actually act as a little bit of a counterbalance. So you might be able to sit a little bit deeper, which in a squat is generally more ideal. You could also choose to hold both of your weights at the side, like what I like to call a suitcase squat, like you're holding 2 suitcases. In general, where you'd go here. Now, the only thing about that I would advise is that it's really easy to drop the chest and have the weights pull down, and that can be pretty challenging on the lower back. So if I have any recommendation for people learning how to squat or just getting into strength training, it'd be to put 1 or 2 weights, like the way I just showed you, up at the shoulders or at the chest, and lower down. It's also a little bit better for your core. And while I know that some of you hate when I talk too much, I am here to teach, and these videos are for my endurance athletes more than anything. So I want to teach what's the best option for you today, and you might choose differently every time you do this workout. So I'm going to hold one weight right at my chest, and you can choose any of those options that I just showed you. We're going to do 10 squats, and then we're going to do a tricep extension, and for that you'll only need one weight. All right, 10 squats. I'm going to show you from the side on the first set, so you can just kind of see the setup and try to emulate that at home. Not saying I'm perfect, but I have been doing them for a while. Here we go. This is technically called the goblet squat. Feet are shoulder width apart, maybe just slightly turned out. Lower down and up for 1. Inhale and exhale 2. By inhaling and holding that air in, it acts as a support system in that core. So don't overthink the breath, but use it to your advantage. Let's do 5 more. And 4. And 3. 2 more. 1 more. And it's always a fun target just to try to get the elbows to touch the knees. Ideally, the hips do go below the knees or get at least equal to the knees. But that's just a good goal to work towards. You're going to hold your weight by your handles, or if you're holding a dumbbell with 2 heads, hold it by the side. You're going to bring your weight over your head, and you want to keep your elbows in your peripheral vision, basically where you can see them. You're going to bend at the elbow as much as you can, and then straighten your arms out. So this works your triceps or the back of the arms. By bending the elbow, that's how the tricep lengthens. And we're going to do 15 of these. So you might need to change the weight from what you did in the squat. Do that now if you need to. 15 tricep extensions, and I'm going to stay to the side on the first set. But do try to keep those elbows in. Here we go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I like to actually make contact with the back of the body. 5. Instead of doing these really short reps. 6. Just take your time, especially if you've got long arms. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Great job. All right, we're going to go back to our squats, and I'll face forward on this set. Here we go. 10 squats. Get your feet set up the way that you'd like them. And we're going to do 10 of these. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Good job. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Triceps. I'll face forward on this one. 10. Oh, sorry, we're doing 15. 14. 13. 12. 11. Try to breathe with it. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great job. All right, we need both of our weights for our next exercise. We're going to do a forward hip hinge or the deadlift. What you're going to do is hold both weights at your side, and I'll show you from the front and the side here, and bear with me, it's another educational one. You want your feet shoulder width apart. You want to hinge at your hips as you soften at the knees. You're trying to almost make a triangle from your shoulders to your hips to your knees. That's why I wanted to show you the squat beforehand. You want to hinge in a way that protects your lower back. So you're going to push your hips back and ideally just kind of keep the shoulders just above the hips. This means you're going to feel it in your butt and at the tops, backs of your legs, the hamstrings. Let me show you from the front. Again, shoulder width apart here. And I'm just holding my weights by the side, hinging at the hips, softening the knees. Now there's a million different types of deadlift variation. There's a more stiff leg deadlift where you barely bend the knees, and then there's a really traditional deadlift where you bend the knees a lot. The goal is to focus on the muscles, the hamstrings and the butt. So however you decide to do that today is really up to you. The stiffer you keep the knees, the more you're going to feel your hamstrings. The more you bend at the knees and the hips, the more you're going to engage the glutes. So what's best for you is best for me today. I'm going to face forward on these, and we're going to do a set of 10. Inhale and exhale as you stand. Deadlift for 1, 2. Just keep the neck neutral. 3. So that means you'll probably be looking down and then looking forward for 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now we're going to turn the weights the opposite direction, so the wrist face forward, and do a bicep curl. And we're going to do 15 of these. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Back to our deadlift. If you need to change weights for this, you can, especially if you're experienced at deadlifts. You can actually go quite heavy on deadlifts. And the last point I'll make about deadlifts versus squats, because they can look similar to a beginner, especially depending on your style, is that deadlifts is almost more of a pull movement that uses the posterior or back chain of the body. And squats is more of a push movement where you're working on the front of the body. So just keep that in mind. Here we go. 10 of these. Deadlift for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Biceps. 15, 14, 13, 12. You're doing great. 11, 10, 9. We're almost done for the day. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great. Our last exercise is just one exercise that we're going to do with rest in between, and it's the plank to a row. So, come on down to the floor. Now, you can do this kneeling with your feet nice and wide, and you're just going to pull one arm up and then the other. Our goal is to strengthen the back of the arms here. So this is kind of, if you've noticed, we've done front of the arms, back of the arms, front of the arms, back of the arms. So this really complements the chest press we did earlier nicely. So you're kind of doing the opposite of that, working back here, as well as training the core, okay? So even doing this body weight, you're still engaging these muscles. You can do this kneeling. However, some people enjoy, because it's a lot of wrist flexion, holding on to a weight, and that just keeps you off the floor a little bit. You can let go of the weight and then put your hand back on. So that's just something I've noticed with personal training clients, can make it a little easier. So set yourself up as needed. You can also do this in a full plank. In both versions, excuse me, you want to make sure you have a nice wide base, because generally we don't want to be opening up at the hips. And in the kneeling version, it's easier to prevent that. When you get into the full version, it's easy to open the hips. We're going to do 12 total. That's 6 per side. So either go with the weight or without the weight. We'll rest in between, and then we're done. So a nice wide stance. Pull for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, halfway, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Very good. We're just going to sit back, and what you can do here is a little stretch for the quads and the hips. You're just going to reach back and try to touch your heels, and then come back up. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. We want to let the core, the arms recover. But we also want to stretch our body. Remember that rest enables us to work a little bit harder. So let's do one more, about 5 of those little lean backs. Great for the hips. And our last set here. Get into position. Make sure you're engaging your glutes. And if you don't know how to engage your glutes, if that's a term that gives you the cringe, especially as a healthcare professional, I know some people don't like that. It basically means just clenching your butt cheeks together. And that helps keep everything rigid in that midsection. A lot of benefits to it. So you almost want to kind of bear down. Here we go.